Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something I find absolutely fascinating, the internal battlefield. We're going to be unpacking the actual biological and psychological mechanisms behind cognitive defense. And to do that, we're pulling from both cutting-edge neuroscience and some really profound ancient wisdom to give you basically the ultimate tactical advantage. Okay, let's dive into this. The stakes today are incredibly high, right? But the conflict we're looking at doesn't require tanks, troops, or any physical weapons. We're looking at a war where the ultimate prize is literally your perception of reality. So I want you to really consider this for a second. What if the greatest battlefield isn't out there in the physical world, but within your own mind? It's a pretty startling question, I know. But as we look at the data and the research surrounding modern influence operations, it becomes remarkably clear that the most critical battles we face today are purely psychological. Your attention, your emotional reactions, and your deeply held beliefs, that is the actual territory being fought over. So to understand this threat, we first have to define it. Cognitive warfare refers to deliberate efforts by state and non-state actors to influence the way people think, perceive reality, and make decisions. And unlike traditional conflicts, this targets the mind itself. Here is the genuinely scary part. Standard critical thinking just isn't enough to protect you anymore. These operations use really subtle manipulation, which is then cranked up to 1,000 by social media and search algorithms to completely bypass your logic and directly target your emotions. I mean, think about it. Think about the last time you felt a sudden surge of panic or just intense anger from quickly scrolling past a provocative headline on your newsfeed. If they can make you angry, afraid, or tribal, they don't even need to defeat your rational arguments. They've already won. Now, this isn't an entirely new concept, right? As far back as the 5th century BCE, the legendary military strategist Sun Tzu wrote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." What has dramatically changed today, though, is the technology and the sheer massive scale of it all. Modern influence operations are highly sophisticated. They're weaponizing information to destabilize our rationality without ever having to fire a physical shot. Their goal? They want to confuse, polarize, and divide us simply by hijacking our most basic, hardwired human instincts. To see exactly how they pull this off, we can look at the cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT triangle. This psychological framework shows how our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are completely interconnected. A change in one corner instantly ripples into all the others. Modern algorithms and propagandists, they know this perfectly. They exploit this triangle by completely skipping your slow, rational thoughts and just dropping inflammatory content that directly triggers that emotions corner. By instantly activating outrage or fear, they force a behavior, like, immediately sharing a post, leaving a really heated comment, or lashing out, long before your rational mind can even step in to intervene. The actual biological antagonist making this rapid exploitation possible is a phenomenon known as the amygdala hijack. So the amygdala is basically the emotional filter of your brain. When it perceives a high-stress threat, and yes, that includes a psychological or digital one, it responds in less than a single second. It signals your adrenal glands to just flood your body with cortisol and adrenaline. In this heightened state, the amygdala completely overrides the prefrontal cortex, which happens to be where all your higher-order logical thinking occurs. So you are literally biologically blocked from thinking clearly. So, the big question, how do we defend against this biological override? The very first tactical defense comes from psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Siegel, and it's brilliantly simple. He says, name it to tame it. The absolute moment you feel your heart racing or your palms sweating from a provocative headline, a shocking image, or some crazy online argument, you must recognize the hijack. Simply acknowledging that intense emotion and naming it, literally saying to yourself, I am feeling triggered and angry right now, creates immediate psychological distance. It is the vital first step in reclaiming your logical brain from that hijack. Once your logic starts coming back online, you have to carefully watch out for internal traps, which psychologists call cognitive distortions. These include mental traps like overgeneralization, black and white thinking, catastrophizing, or my personal favorite, emotional reasoning, which is basically assuming something is an absolute fact just because it intensely feels true in the moment. Now, it's important to remember your mind isn't trying to destroy you. It is acting like an overprotective friend using terrible strategies to keep you safe from perceived threats. Disinformation heavily relies on these exact distortions, particularly black and white thinking, to manipulate your entire worldview. And this brilliantly illustrates a concept that goes back thousands of years. In the ancient Bhagavad Gita, specifically verse 6.5, it's taught that we must elevate ourselves by our own self, because the self is both our greatest friend, Bandhu, and our greatest enemy, Ripu. It states that for one who has conquered their mind, the mind is a perfect ally. But for one who is uncontrolled, while the undisciplined mind sabotages them like a hostile enemy. So the struggle we face today against modern digital manipulation, it's the exact same internal battlefield ancient philosophers mapped out millennia ago. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how ancient yogic philosophy structurally mapped the mind to explain this exact dynamic. They identified manas as the everyday reactive screen of consciousness. It gathers sensory inputs, reacts emotionally, but honestly, it is frankly a terrible decision maker. This is the part of your mind that algorithms easily manipulate. Above that, though, is Buddhi, the silent witness. Buddhi is the deeper, rational faculty that observes, evaluates, and decides wisely. Our ultimate cognitive defense is learning exactly how to quiet that reactive manas and awaken the wise Buddhi. But how do we actually awaken that wisdom when we're right in the middle of a biological panic? Well, here is one of the most empowering scientific facts of this entire explainer, courtesy of neuroanatomist Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor. The chemical process that triggered the amygdala hijack will be over in 90 seconds. That's right, the intense physical rush of cortisol and adrenaline naturally expires in just a minute and a half. Any leftover emotion you feel after those 90 seconds is actually a choice. You just have to outlast the chemical wave. Knowing that we have exactly a 90-second window, we can execute a really specific tactical protocol to manage the hijack without acting destructively. Step 1, recognize the hijack. Feel those physical symptoms, pause, and name the emotion out loud if you have to. Step 2, clear your mind. Do not engage with the spinning, irrational thoughts that are begging you to react or type out a furious reply. Just let them pass. And step 3, breathe. We need to physically pull the oxygen away from that panicked amygdala and purposefully push it back into the frontal lobes. So the crucial point is exactly how you breathe. The 4-7-8 breathing technique is perfectly engineered for this precise moment. You inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, hold that breath steady for 7 seconds, and exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for 8 seconds. If you execute this exact pattern 5 times, it takes precisely 95 seconds. By doing this, you will have successfully outlasted the 90-second biological hijack, brought vital oxygen back to your logical brain, and successfully defended your mental territory from a completely impulsive reaction. Once that physical threat has passed and your logic has returned, it's time to transition from biological defense to psychological defense. For this, we turn to Albert Ellis's foundational cognitive behavioral therapy technique, the ABC method. This is a framework designed to force your brain to meticulously analyze your thoughts and reactions after a triggering event, stripping away all those cognitive distortions that try to manipulate your reality. Let's move to and see how this builds into a practical exercise. The ABC method stands for activating event, belief, and consequence. You actually start by identifying the consequence, usually an intense feeling of anger, anxiety, or a sudden compulsion to argue online. Then you trace it backwards to the activating event. What specifically happened, or what exact post did you read? Finally, you uncover the belief. What irrational assumption did your mind instantly make about that event that caused the consequence? But we don't stop at C. To truly disrupt the manipulation loop, we add D and E. D stands for disputing those irrational beliefs. You act like an objective scientist, looking for concrete, positive evidence that directly contradicts your distorted thought. Then comes E, finding effective replacements. You actively replace that old manipulated assumption with a new, realistic, and highly grounded thought. Doing this consistently rewires your neural pathways, making it exponentially harder for outside forces to trick your mind in the future. This entire process culminates in what dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, calls the wise mind. It's the perfect, harmonious balance between the rational mind and the emotional mind, allowing you to tolerate distress and respond in alignment with your true values rather than your impulses. Notice how perfectly this modern clinical concept mirrors the ancient yogic concept of Buddhi we looked at earlier. Equipping yourself with a wise mind is literally the ultimate shield against cognitive warfare. The most important thing to remember here is that this is a daily practice. Just like physical exercise, cognitive defense requires consistent reps. Every thought you question, every bias you recognize, and every challenge you overcome strengthens your cognitive defenses. You are actively building psychological resilience, turning your mind from a vulnerable target into an absolute, impenetrable fortress. Which leaves us with one final, critical question to ponder. If you aren't commanding your own mental territory, who is? If this explainer expanded your perspective, support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Infinite Within. Join us as we explore psychology, neuroscience, consciousness, ancient wisdom, and the hidden forces that shape human behavior. Because the most powerful technology you'll ever possess is your own mind. Until next time, keep exploring the infinite within. Thanks for checking out this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.